Hello, welcome to Floyd Models Kit Review Time. Today something a little bit special. Today we've got the first look at Copper State Models Armstrong Whitworth. This is the Mark 8 in 1/48 scale. Now I know what you're probably thinking. Okay, it's a biplane field. What's exciting about it? The exciting thing is, one, I've never heard of this company before. Secondly, I happen to have a look in the box. Haven't looked at any of the sprues properly, but I was greeted by probably one of the best surprises you could ever have. All right, so anyway, further ado, let's have a look. Beautiful little bit of box art on the front, okay? Now this is 1/48 scale, okay? So it's going to be a little bit smaller than some of the others. We've got some of the markings, as you can see, running around on the box here. So we've got number 8 squadron, number 2 squadron, and a couple of the others on there as well, okay? Kit number for this one is 1029, all right? And then some usual type of blurbs on the sides and around there, just like that. Now this little thing here has a sleeve type system. Sits there. So as you can see, we've got a normal box, okay, and this, to be honest, is where we got to, and I was thinking, yeah, okay, it's quite nice, not really my thing. 1/48 scale's a bit small and fiddly. I prefer 30-second stuff, definitely, if you're talking rigging. And then I opened it up, and then lo and behold, I saw this. So straight away, if anybody has ever built anything from Wingnut Wings, you're going to see this and think, that is just like Wingnut Wings, okay? Amazingly, in fact, it's almost a clone of a Wingnut Wings one. The way it's all laid out, just the font, the everything together. Also with this one, we do get lots of aftermarket parts, and then lo and behold, down in here, we have some exquisite detailed bags, and then we've got a load of photo etch, as you can see down in here as well. We've got some film, we've got some very fine decals, okay, for instance, but again, we've got some brass, and it looks like copper as well down in here for the photo etch, and we've got decals as well. So straight off the bat, I must admit, my attention went from probably around about 4 to 10 easily, no problem at all. So anyway, let's start over here and we'll have a look in the booklet itself. As you can see, it does say Copper State Models all over this. Obviously they're a Latvian company, but this is either obviously a direct copy of what Wingnut Wings are doing, or Wingnut Wings somehow are involved with this, all right? But to be honest, I don't know. If you know, please vote up and let me know. That'd be absolutely fantastic. But the biggest difference is with Wingnut Wings, you don't get resin, you don't get photo etch, or not a lot of photo etch. You get a few parts perhaps. This actually has full resin engine. It's got a shed load of photo etch as well. So it's going to take what is a lovely kit to the next level, okay? So as you can see down in here is your parts breakdowns we were talking about. You've only got a couple of sprues, but as I said, you have got big sheets of photo etch, and then obviously we've got a couple more bits of photo etch. We've got an exhaust metal system, okay, and we've got a full resin engine. And as you can see just by the detail down in the gun areas, and then obviously the interior design, everything right the way through, this gorgeous color layout, very simple instructions to follow, very easy, because it is quite complex down in here, but the way the instructions are done, very Wingnut Wings-esque. It has taken it to that next level right the way through, as you can see on all of these. So it's obviously talking a lot about the mechanical linkages, things like that, turnbuckles, all of this type of stuff down in here as well. So you've got to put all of these in as well, and you can see very, very nicely done. Obviously wing alignments, things like that, but again, lots of photo etch. This is that gorgeous resin engine right the way through, so again, highly detailed in there. Then we've obviously got more strut bracing and wiring and things like that for down in the front end. And then as you make your way through, you can see more and more details showing you exactly how it goes together. So obviously this is all photo etch around the front end that needs to be bent into position. And then obviously got some various items down the back end as we make our way through, including the little bomb racks. And then we've got a very much rigging guide showing about 0.1 rigging on that, as you can see right the way through. Then we've got your markings. Okay, so you've got your colour call-outs for those, and then obviously the markings, as we can see, right the way through. Okay, they have got a couple of other kits out as well, all right? Again, straight away, I'm like, okay, this is Wingnut Wings right the way through, all right? It doesn't quite stop there. So just down in this little box here, and this is, I'm not going to take it out of the bag because you can probably see it on the close-up, but if you can see, this is actually a metal exhaust system that has been blued. So it has been heated to give you that blued, heated manifold exhaust system look to it. Beautifully done, very, very nicely done. Then we have, obviously, as you can see down in the bag, I'm not going to get all these out because they're so tiny, but you can probably see past the glare. We've got the pots, and then obviously the main parts of the actual engine and exhaust bits and things like that down on there, manifolds as well. Again, beautifully done. So not only have you got a very nice kit, you've actually got extremely nice sections down there with the resin and metal for the engine. Okay, and then if we just dive just down into these photo etch parts. Okay, as we said before, we've got these large sheets of photo etch which are incredibly thin. This isn't like the normal stuff. And as you can see, some great photo etch detail. These are all these turnbuckles down in here. Going to make rigging a lot easier just to pop all of those in. But again, obviously this front end around the actual engine for the cowling and things like that right the way through. And it's a very nice thin piece of metal, so you're going to want to keep that nice and flat. And again, engine cowling done on there. All right, we've got a little piece of acetate for the actual windscreen, tight areas just like that. Looks like brass. This is thicker, heavier. And again, it's got more, these are for the control lines and things like that down on there. And again, we've got little placards as well for the Armstrong Whitworth markings on the side of the engine. So again, very, very nicely done. And you can probably see down on here, produced beautifully. A couple of little decals as well, because obviously we've got some insignias and an engine placard, I presume, down there, number E1. All right. And then you're thinking, okay, so we've got a little bit of photo etch, we've got a little bit of brass, we've got a little bit of, you know, all the other areas down in here. It is fantastic, very, very nice. And then we've actually got, printed by Cartograph, the decals, which are beautifully done as well. No problem with these. Great decals, so that's always a thumbs up. And then we get to really the meat of the actual system. So if we just whip one of these bags open, we can see straight off the bat, this is looking extremely much like Wingnut Wings, on a par with those types of kits. Incredibly nicely crispy molded, but you might notice this isn't Wingnut Wings because everywhere it does say Copper State Models. I was expecting it to be Wingnut Wings, but you can see they've managed to do that holy grail of all modelling, and there is no ejector pins on any surface detail that shows. Okay, so that is a very much a thumbs up. But you can probably see we've got, on the close-up, we've got some nice moulding done, so to actually recreate that sort of ribbing inside the wings. And again, it goes right the way of the top of the wing system, as you can see it just down on there. But just looking around generally at the parts, beautifully done. You've got the top over these, everywhere, incredibly clean, crisp, and even the sprue gates, you might notice as they join the actual parts, very, very fine. And they've overlapped them as well, so you're not going to be taking chunks out of the actual part. Okay, so you can just sand in gently from the inside, but also they're incredibly thin, very nicely done. Now onto the main fuselage section. Okay, and then again, beautifully done with the gates. Everything on this is extremely nicely molded. There's no real flash on anything whatsoever. We do get a normal, you might notice down in here, we've got it, but we've got a resin one, and down here there's a little bit of burring work on some of these smaller parts. But generally, if we have a run round it, as you can see, and on that fuselage section, catching it in the light, you can see all the parts on there. It is incredibly well molded. There's a little bit of burring on it. That would be my only downside to it. Some of the parts have got some little bit, and when we talk about burring, it's the lap between the two, some of the items. But again, easy clean up with all of those. No sink marks. In fact, I can't see any problems with any of that. Incredibly nicely done. And then last up, we've got a match pair just down on here for the wheels. Okay, and as you can see on this little guy down in here, we've got the wheels, some of the engine parts, we've got some of the bombs, and the other areas. Obviously you've got the wing braces, things like that down on there as well. And that's what I love about this kit. This kit, obviously, really, as I said, I was probably like a 4 of interest. Open up the box and I've gone straight from 4 to 10, and I think this would be an absolutely beautiful build. Not only have you got that thing of actually a fantastically well produced kit, the instructions are going to be a dream to follow. You've got a lovely bit of photo etch down in there, you've got the brass, you've got the resin engine, you've got everything you could ever need in a 1/48 scale kit. So again, it's almost like taking Wingnut Wings, which as far as I'm concerned make the finest kits out there, and then obviously shrunk it a little bit and improved on it. And who would have thought you could actually improve on Wingnut Wings? Now, I'm not saying this is going to go together together like a Winglets wing kit, because obviously I haven't built it. From an aesthetics point of view of looking at it, it looks beautiful, the way they've managed to mould it with no ejector pins or anything else in there, and then certainly with cartograph decals and those beautifully thin photo etch parts, you're going to end up with something very, very special with this particular kit. So again, it's one of those things, it's nice when I get a company and look at the box and go in there completely blind and don't know what I'm expecting. You open up the box just to be greeted with a beautifully presented kit and everything you need to make an absolutely stunning model. So there we go, that is Copper State Models. This is the Armstrong Whitworth Mark 8, an absolute must.